In today's world, food security is increasingly becoming a major concern. With the exponential growth of the global population, resources are becoming ever more limited, and optimizing the way we farm has never been more important. Factors such as climbing logistical costs, climate change, and the decline in clean water sources in arable land are making agriculture progressively more challenging. I'm Jonathan Heaney, and today I'd like to introduce you to a revolutionary new system that is set to change the face of farming across the world. The sole purpose of this system is to combine all the facets of the farming process into a holistic model that optimizes the full agricultural value chain, from seed to shelf. But first, let me tell you a little about who we are and where we started. Farm's origin is primarily as a farmer in fruit, grains and livestock, having cultivated over 100,000 hectares of land across Africa. This first-hand experience provided us with an unparalleled insight into the complex challenges that farmers face and has enabled us to create unique solutions to solve them. Today, Farm is an advice giver with a successful history in the management of skilled agriculturalists, agronomists and scientists who consult on farmlands globally. Our specialists are experts in fields such as soil and crop analysis, irrigation scheduling and much more, which means they are perfectly equipped to tailor-make specialized solutions for each individual farm according to its unique circumstances, while offering intelligent and comprehensive input solutions to the farmers themselves. Working together with our suppliers, these solutions are customized or adapted to be crop-specific and cost-effective, and have proven their efficacy across the spectrum. With these core business functions as a framework, and the experience gained from the many challenges we've faced over the years in our own farming operations, Farm has designed a system that can collate and manage operational, financial, scientific and statistical data in such a way as to increase the profitability while mitigating the risks of the agricultural value chain. This innovative system is called GeOrg, or Geo-Organization, and revolves around principles that sustainably optimize yields and maximize profits. The GeOrg system is based on 5 fundamental components, namely agronomic services, administration of finance, insurance management, commodity price hedging, and input procurement. These components can be compared to the gears in a clock, turning in unison while constantly interacting with one another to achieve a carefully calculated solution. GeOrg functions by keeping track of agricultural cycles and providing accurate, up-to-date data at any given point in the cycle, thereby ensuring that farm production runs like clockwork. GeOrg is essentially a collective system that serves as an intelligent hub, making all relevant information easily accessible. This is achieved by relating, interpreting and calculating information gathered from the 5 main components. The integrated optimization model is then able to take all these variables and provide the best dollar scenario for every step in the farming process. Let me tell you a little about the cutting-edge systems that make up GeOrg. To start with, the Geo systems are custom-built to communicate all information contained within the GeOrg systems geospatially and temporally. Simply put, this means that all data is referenced to an exact time and physical location on the Earth's surface. This allows for trends to be accurately mapped over time, resulting in better management of both the soil and its required inputs, and the crop planting and monitoring. Ultimately, the systems provide more accurate assessments and predictions on yields. In turn, this allows for better optimization of logistics and prevents overcapitalization on the land. For example, on a grain farm, seed planters can be programmed to release the ideal amount of seed for each portion of the field according to the soil's potential. The same happens with fertilizer. Nothing is wasted, as the tailor-made program is able to provide the optimal solution for every square meter of arable land. GeOrg collates this accumulated data as well as statistical analysis and interprets them to accurately predict trends. The trends are then applied to the remaining 4 components: insurance, hedge price management, financial administration, and inputs purchases. Thereafter, the system performs several ongoing functions such as tracking the requisitions and purchases. It also records and controls allotted budgets within the approved financial facilities, storing all the required documentation during the production cycle. Additionally, it monitors insurable risks and tracks all price and hedge management, including purchased inventory, amongst other things. Enterprise Resource Planning, or ERP components such as SAP or Opera, feed off the information from the GeOrg system. GeOrg also has the inherent ability to manage basic on-farm accounting, including inventory control, and can produce accounts to trial balance level. Additionally, the extended reporting capabilities of GeOrg allow farmers to produce their own balance sheets and income statement reports. Throughout the process, business intelligence reporting is available to optimize future financial requirements and monitor cash flow trends. It provides continued reporting to management and generates accurate statements throughout. Just to recap, the GeOrg system communicates information geospatially and temporally. It collates data to predict trends which are fed into the various components. It tracks requisitions and purchases, controls budgets, monitors insurance risks, and tracks price and hedge management. It is able to feed ERP information and manage basic accounting, and finally, it's able to supply structured business intelligence reporting. Now, all of this information may seem a lot to absorb in one go, so let me take you through a real-world scenario where the GeOrg system has been applied. We'll follow a maize farmer taking on the services of GeOrg for the first time. Firstly, it's important to note that this system can be applied to all of the different grain crops, fruit orchards, and livestock cycles. Of course, certain elements differ between the various farming disciplines, but GeOrg has proved completely adaptable and able to suit any product on a seasonal basis. To begin, let me break down the maize production cycle into the 7 major phases that are contained within the GeOrg template, so to speak. Pre-planting, planting, emergence of the newly planted crop, growth and progress, pre-harvest, harvest, and post-harvest. The pre-planting phase is the first and probably the most important phase during the production cycle. When a farmer makes use of GeOrg for the first time, a preliminary assessment is carried out and due diligence is done on both the financial and productive aspects of the farming enterprise. This is vital in order to optimize future profitability and mitigate risk for the farmer. Before entering into a partnership with such a farmer, important information needs to be established, such as the soil potential and chemical status across all fields to be farmed, determining the appropriate crop to be planted based on the soil, previous yields, current market prices, and weather predictions, proposed available financial facilities, specific budgets per commodity with such proposed facilities. The budget and financial framework assist in determining inputs acquisition requirements for soil supplements, fertilizers and seed, and their distribution. The insurance required to cover potential losses. Price hedging. The ability and track record of the farmer himself as an important working partner. Although Farm provides all the guidance necessary throughout the crop cycle, we rely on the farmer to do what he does best, which is to farm his own land. Our starting point in collecting all this information is the soil classification of the farmer's field. The farm science team utilize specialist skills, knowledge, equipment, and the latest technology available to carry out a thorough analysis of the farmer's fields. Our scientists take soil samples using methods such as profile holes, hand drilling, or spiral drilling, which produce samples at up to 4 meters deep, typically in a 1 hectare grid, enabling them to map out the variation in soil type in an area. This determines the physical soil properties according to the National Taxonomic Index, a database that accurately classifies soil types and conforms to international standards. Chemical analysis of these samples then determines a nutritional index by examining the key trace elements the soil contains or lacks. The resulting data, along with the geospatial references, are fed into the geosystems, which then map out topographically the variations in both soil type and chemical makeup. With all this information, we are able to accurately determine a soil's inherent potential as well as identify any possible adjustments required to maximize its chemical composition. Understanding the soil's potential is vital for a number of other reasons. We can then identify potential problem areas, and by plotting their potential against their economic viability, we can eliminate non-arable areas, even though historically they may have been tilled and planted. We can also avoid overcapitalization by regulating inputs during the production cycle, such as seed density and fertilizer application over varied soil potentials, and so optimize yields. For an established farm field, data from earlier yield maps is added to the geographic information system to further improve accuracy by comparing previous yields and the newly generated soil potential maps. Once all the data has been fed into the geosystems, an overall yield potential map is generated, providing an accurate breakdown of the potential for a specific crop cycle, and also a projected long-term average over various crop cycles. We bring an extensive knowledge base that spans 25 years, and our experience has shown that soil potential can vary dramatically. In our maize example, it's important to note that on South African grain farms, soil potential can vary by up to 7 tons per hectare within the same field. Initially, farmers may flinch at the prospect of letting certain areas that they may have previously planted lie fallow. However, once they see how precise the potential yield estimates are, they realize that they have been wasting capital in areas that have simply not been producing enough to warrant the initial input. Based on the analysis conducted on the fields and the resulting projections, data from the geosystems is fed into the administrative portion of GeOrg on a per farmer, per farm, per field, per commodity basis. This provides the required information to draw up budgets and contracts, secure financial facilities, and determine the correct insurance value based on the final hedged price. What this means is that a secure foundation is established, giving the farmer peace of mind. An accurate projection of potential yields and the resulting income is drawn, with favorable results even in a worst-case scenario. Following this, we move on to the planting phase. By utilizing the same instruments as in the previous phase, an approval matrix is set up within the administrative system, requiring authorization from various managers, including agricultural economists, agri-scientists, and financial managers. These approval points will ensure that before any planting takes place, the correct contracts, field data, and insurance policies are in place. A budget is then drawn up based on the final hedged price, which is obtained by hedging sufficient commodity offtake instruments to cover the expected yield. Throughout the process, the GeOrg platform has the capability of administering all transactional documentation, keeping an accurate ledger of budgets and transactions, and providing a monitoring portal easily accessible to financiers, managers, bankers, and others. Real-time reporting and detailed records of all analysis on a per-field basis ensures that crop outcomes are easily accessible at any stage of the crop cycle. The administrative system also enables adaptability of funds allocated within approved budgets, so should conditions change, funds can be reallocated as required, and payments, receipts, and insurance claims can be issued immediately. The system also provides a direct farmer-supplier link for the acquisition of inputs with integrated approval points to streamline the process. Then, once all the inputs have been acquired and the financial framework has been established, the farmer can continue to plant his crop. By referring to the geosystem data and interpretations from early analysis, satellite technology allows planters to be regulated, optimizing plant density and fertilizer application. GeOrg virtually drives the tractor, leaving little room for human error, ensuring consistency in repeated crop cycles and ultimately more accurate future yield estimates. By the time we reach the third or emergence phase, a lot of hard work has already been done. The soil has been analyzed, prepared, and planted. Nature now needs to take its course, but that doesn't mean the GeOrg clock stops ticking. During the emergence phase, all departments evaluate and monitor progress, documenting actual plant emergence and density, identifying factors that may have changed, and implementing necessary adjustments. These factors include the amount of hectares planted, inputs required such as fertilizer or pesticides, and weather patterns and issues that may affect yields further on. This phase results in the fine-tuning of the financial facility, hedge tons and insurance policy, which in turn facilitate final adjustments to commodity budgets. During the growth phase, the maize crop is well on its way. Pollen is being produced and fertilization is taking place, forming the all-important kernels that the farmer will harvest. As with the emergence phase, the growth phase also requires constant monitoring and evaluation to keep the geo, financial and administrative systems up to date. The agronomists stay in close consultation with the farmers throughout the cycle to keep an eye on the crop's progress. In addition, we carry out NDVI scans, which stands for Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, achieved via satellite and cameras mounted on unmanned and manned aircraft. The data from weekly low-res and bi-weekly high-res NDVI scans enables us to closely monitor the state of the crop and respond reactively if any factors cause the crop to stress. The overall NDVI monitoring also supplies vital information that assists the trade desk with the level of price hedging and provides an early warning system for potential insurance claims. NDVI data is also fed into the GEO system to find correlations between soil potential, chemical analysis and other physical attributes to further improve its accuracy. The pre-harvest phase is reached when the crop has grown to full maturity. Like most grain crops, the maize is left on the fields to dry out before being harvested. Although certain risk factors such as weather or fire still play a role, the farmer can almost start to count on what the yield of his harvest would be. During the pre-harvest phase, yield estimates are done to determine actual tonnage, potential insurance claims if the yield has been below average, and logistical requirements such as transport and silage. All of this data is translated to the administrative portion of GeOrg. At this stage, the geo-mapping and the global stock reporting generated by the administrative system help to establish and manage logistical requirements for harvest. Eventually, it's time for the sixth and most exciting part of the crop cycle, the harvest phase. Expenses pertaining to fuel, maintenance and logistics are closely monitored and regulated during this phase in order to boost profitability. The final post-harvest phase is when the product, in our example maize, is traded to generate the profit that we set out to achieve when farm and the farmer initially entered into a partnership. We conduct a final evaluation across all the components within GeOrg of all factors from the entire season to determine adjustments and improvements in planning for future crop cycles. At the end of the production cycle, the ultimate aim of GeOrg is to ensure a win-win outcome for all stakeholders. As you've seen through our example, the cycle of GeOrg is highly intricate and specialized in every aspect. Through many years of dedicated development in each of these unique aspects, the system has become the well-oiled machine that it is today. Every part of the system is connected and retroactively affects and updates every other part of the system, an approach that has never been done before. Countless hours of research and development by the many talented individuals within Farm have brought it all together to create a world first which is truly primed to change the way the world farms.